Shalom Aleichem. I extend the greetings of peace to everyone throughout the world. But this time, I'm unable to extend the greetings in joy. On the contrary, what happened yesterday at a synagogue in Pittsburgh in the United States of America, or in Pittsburgh as it is called in American English, or perhaps in British English, is not merely tragic, it is horrendous, it is horrific, it is inhumane, it is a shame to humanity as a whole. In the past, I spoke out when such incidents took place in various mosques, when fanatics killed people because they are violent by nature. They do not know the value of peace. They do not know the value of brotherhood. They do not know the value of humanity. There is no excuse when such atrocities are being carried out in places of worship. God the Almighty chose Abraham, or as some people even call him, Ibrahim. He said, "Blessed be everyone who blesses you, and cursed be everyone who curses you." This blessing was handed over to Abraham's son, Isaac, and also to Jacob, or Jacob. But it is a great tragedy that for the past 4,000 years or so, various communities of the Jewish people had to pay so dearly with their lives. Already in the Torah, we see in the very first book, known as, I beg your pardon, I mean the second book, known as Exodus, that Pharaoh, king of Egypt, was afraid of the Jewish people because they were growing strong. So he ordered that all the male children be thrown into the Nile. And when the midwives refused to do so, he commanded that all the male children be destroyed. This happened when the Jewish people were conquered by other nations. They were persecuted, they were tortured, they were crucified, they were burned to death, and they underwent various types of persecution and all kinds of inhumanity, what we can assume as human beings. But this is done most probably because those people who persecute the Jews, or I mean the Israelites or the Hebrews, they were afraid of them. I do not really see any reason why such fear arises. True be it that according to Torah, the Almighty commanded Moshe passed this on to the people to carry out certain wars and conquer certain places. But this happened long ago. Even today, Jerusalem, or Jerusalem, is merely the city which was initially founded by the Jewish people. It was King Solomon who built the temple of God the Almighty there, by commandment of the Almighty. David the David could not build the temple because the Almighty said to him in a dream that there was too much blood in his hand. So this becomes clear that the city, Jerusalem or Jerusalem, is supposed to be the city of peace, not a city of bloodshed. Yet it has become a field of shedding blood during not merely a few years, not merely a few decades, not merely even a few centuries, but during the few millennia, which is not merely regrettable, but tragic, but it is also extremely depressing for all those who believe in peace, for all those who want to see that peace prevails in the city of peace. What happened yesterday, on Saturday, on the evening, I mean not the eve, but the evening of Shabbat, or perhaps even during the day, it was an act of not merely inhumanity, but an act of insanity. A person who said he wanted to destroy the whole Jewish race. It was an act of absolute folly, foolishness, and stupidity. We see that during the 4,000 years or longer, according to the Jewish calendar, the Jews survived despite all kinds of persecution, all kinds of oppression, all kinds of inhumanity which they had to undergo. Because, as the Torah convinces us, indeed, as even the Holy Bible, accepted by millions of people in the world, both the Jews and the Christians, convince us that they were chosen by the Almighty to become salvation for the rest of the world, to become a light. As the prophet Isaiah says, it is known today in the 60th chapter, the light. It's a message of peace, a message of harmony, a message of hope for the whole world. But fanatics, those who breed inhumanity, those who only know to destroy, nothing to build, even their own races and their nations, fail to recognize this fact. This is one of the main reasons, and perhaps the sole reason, why they commit such atrocities. However, such acts may not be excused or even overlooked by the rest of the world. Those who commit such acts ought to be brought to justice. I mean natural justice, which applies to every human being. In the past, I spoke out against slavery, human trafficking, and various other types of corruption and wrong. In the same manner, today, I'm obliged, indeed, I'm not merely obliged, but I'm also morally constrained because I consider myself to be duty-bound to speak out against the injustice of inhumanity towards a peaceful race, which wants to develop peace throughout the world, which was chosen by the Creator to bring peace, hope throughout the world. What happened yesterday in a synagogue might have cost comparatively few lives, but they were a clear indication that there are too many people in the world who still fear justice, who fear hope, who fear the true light. I crave leave to extend my most cordial, most heartful and heartfelt, most mournful condolence to all those who are bereaved, those who are bereft of their loved ones, those who are still mourning. At the same time, I crave leave to extend assurance to all those who are in fear of justice and equity, that if we live in harmony with the rest of the world, I mean the Jews and the other people, there is hope for the world. But if we try to destroy those people who were blessed by the Almighty time and time again, we are bound to bring upon ourselves destruction. We are heading towards a world without hope, full of darkness, full of inequity, full of injustice, full of oppression, not merely for others, but for ourselves as well. And therefore we need to speak out against such grave injustice, unanimously condemning such acts of atrocity. We need to join in one single bond of peace for the rest of the world, including the people of Israel. This is my message to all my friends. This is my message to all my fellow citizens. This is my message to all the citizens of the world, as I myself take pride in calling myself a global citizen, without distinguishing myself, without venturing to distinguish myself from others. Because I'm created by the same Creator who chose the people of Israel, in those days the Hebrews, to be his first chosen race. Shalom, Lehetov.